I've been railing about the rise of ETFs for years, but sometimes the fact that everything trades as part of a larger basket creates some fabulous buying opportunities for you. Take GW Pharmaceuticals, GWPH. This is one we've liked for a long time, a British drug company with a twist. They study cannabis to find new medicines. Even though this is a legitimate pharmaceutical company with a terrific anti-seizure drug, Epidyolex, its stock has been included in all sorts of marijuana ETFs, which means it's been hammered in recent months because the actual cannabis cohort has been absolutely awful. In fact, GW Pharma is now down nearly 40% from its highs back in May, even though the company's in great shape. They reported 2 fantastic quarters in a row. The U.S. launch of Epidyolex has been a massive success, and just yesterday they got approval to sell this thing in Europe. But what happens? The stock down another 8% this week, weighed down once again by the cannabis ETFs and the cannabis companies that we follow, which have been horrendous. I think you might be getting a remarkable buying opportunity if you think longer term, but don't take it from me. Let's check in with Justin Gover, the CEO of GW Pharmaceuticals, to get a better read on how his company's doing and where it's headed. Mr. Gover, welcome back to Mad Money.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you for having me back.
Well, Justin, give us the size of the European market, because I have to believe if it's anything like the American market, you're going to have a lot of success here.
Yes, well, just yesterday, as your introduction mentioned, we've yet reached another historic milestone for this company, for patients, and for the field of cannabinoid science. You know, we have 28 countries now in Europe that have approved Epidyolex. We'll be launching these countries over the next year or two. And there's, a market of 500 million people in Europe, and we're very excited. We've obviously had a great experience launching this medication in the United States, benefiting thousands of patients, beating Wall Street estimates by quite some distance. And really, I think the company's in the best shape it's ever been.
That's what I wanted to ask you about. The Wall Street estimates were so low. Does that mean that Wall Street didn't realize, A, that there were more people who had this affliction, or B, that there was good awareness and therefore you had better sales at the very beginning than anyone could expect?
Well, I think awareness of this medication has been as high as I think any medication that I've seen in a pre-launch environment. But I think more important than awareness has been the fact that this is a treatment that is desperately needed by this patient population. Physicians see this as a new advance in epilepsy care, and therefore are placing it at the forefront of their thinking when it comes to treating these types of epilepsies that for quite some time now have had very few, if any, treatment options.
Can you please tell people what it means to be a child of 8 or 9 who has epilepsy before GW Pharma and after?
Well, I'm fortunate as a parent that I don't have children with epilepsy, but I've met hundreds of families that are in this position. And I have to say I admire each and every one of them. As a parent, looking at children who have seizures daily and who have exhausted treatment options as well as other form of non-therapeutic interventions such as diets, there really has been a sense of hopelessness. And I think what Epidyolex has provided is a renewed sense of hope. And I think we're seeing that in the United States with thousands of patients now on this medication. And I think the world is there ready to accept this also. Europe has embraced the prospect of Epidyolex, and obviously there's a wider world beyond Europe as well. So I think the eyes of the world have been on Epidyolex, on the prospects for CBD within the field of epilepsy, and families with these conditions are united in their enthusiasm for this as a treatment and the desire to see if this medication can benefit their children.
Right now, I have been as enthusiastic about you and your company now for more than 100 points. I have to admit I didn't call the top because I don't want to. But I do want to get that, play devil's advocate. There's an SVB Larink piece that said, here's some of the causes of the weakness. One, Epidyolex sales growth in the upcoming quarters could slow as a result of fewer new patient starts on the product. Possibility?
We've had an amazing first half to this year. I am very confident about the second half of this year and the outer years. As I mentioned earlier, we're in the best possible position that I've ever seen for this organization. So it's hard for me to construct a scenario where things aren't going to continue to get better for this company. Like any organization, I'm sure we'll face some challenges in the future. But at the forefront of this area of science, regulators around the world approving this medication, significant demand and interest in our Epidyolex product, and at the forefront of a new area of science. I think the prospects for this company are truly exciting, and I can reassure you and the investment community that I think there are a lot of reasons to be optimistic and very few to be pessimistic right now.
And if you had a crystal ball, how many other different illnesses do you think that a version of Epidyolex could help patients?
Well, the field of cannabinoids, I think through the approval and recognition of the Epidyolex science and an unmet need, has opened the door to the pipeline that we have at GW Pharmaceuticals for cannabinoids. And the biggest dilemma we face in our R&D organization is actually just so many opportunities and prioritizing those opportunities. So I wouldn't say the opportunities are endless, but there are numerous, whether they're in psychiatric conditions, in other neurology conditions such as multiple sclerosis, spinal cord injury, a range of childhood conditions, epilepsy, broader epilepsy, autism. The list does go on. And I think if I look at the next 20 years, we've been in a company existence for 20 years, looking at the next 20, it's very realistic to expect a range of new first-in-class treatments based off cannabinoids across a range of disease areas. And we are the company to make that happen. I see very few alternative organizations that I think have the wherewithal, the science, the reputation, and the track record to make cannabinoids a reality across other disease states.
I couldn't agree more, and I thank you so much, Justin Gover, CEO of GW Pharma, for coming on Mad Money. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you.
This stock is being pulled down by inferior companies who are posers. That's why I like GW Pharma. Mad Money's back after the break. Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.